Have you ever bought a cheap watch and just not gelled with it? Have you ever bought an expensive watch and just not gelled with it? Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. I am sure all of you can relate to this. You see a watch, you fall in love with the watch, you buy the watch, you open the box, you put it on your wrist, and you just know in your heart of hearts that it's not going to work long term. You can't quite put your finger on it yet, but something just doesn't feel quite right. And so it is with me and this Seiko Alpinist GMT. Now this is not a Seiko bashing video by any stretch. This is not even a negative review. If you hear what I've got to say today and you still want to buy this watch, you go for it. I mean, look at this thing. It is gorgeous. I look at these pictures and I know exactly what it was I saw in this watch that made me buy this watch in the first place. And it's really nicely done. It's very well made, etc, etc. But it just does not work for me. Leave me a comment, let me know if you've had a similar situation with a watch. Despite your best efforts, you just haven't gelled with it. And what have you then done? Have you persevered? Have you changed straps? Have you given it a few months? Or have you just bitten the bullet, taken the hit and flipped it for a loss? I think that's what I'm going to end up doing with this one. Now, I buy a ton of watches each year, averaging around the 50 mark, most of which I have no intention of keeping. I buy them, I review them, I sell them, and with the money I get back, I buy the next one. But some watches I buy with the best intentions of keeping them, and I don't spend 1,000 Aussie plus all that often, maybe only 2 or 3 times a year. So for me to hang on to a $1,000 watch, I've gotta be feeling it. Now obviously the RRP of the Seiko Alpinist GMT is well north of 1,000 Aussie, 1,800 Aussie in fact. But as always with Seiko, if you're prepared to wait, if you can wait for 3 or 4 months, wait for the hype to die down, the prices come down a bit as well. I was able to pick this one up for just north of $1,000 before Christmas. I do not have any complaints about the price then. In fact, I justified my purchase by claiming it was a Christmas present to myself, and in an attempt to prove it, I took the Alpinist on my annual Christmas Queensland road trip, along with 3 other watches. There you go, you can see them all in a row: Laco, Baltic, Mercure and Alpinist. And I said in that video that I would most likely be wearing the Alpinist most regularly, and it was certainly the most expensive of that selection. But you know what? I didn't wear it at all. I put it on my wrist a couple of times, I took it off again and I put it back in the roll. I got to the point where I was like, this isn't going to work. I'm probably going to end up selling this and therefore I don't want to wear it. So what then is my problem? It's not the packaging, it's a standard Seiko white cardboard outer box containing a standard Seiko white cardboard inner box. Variable warranty, 1 year from a grey dealer, 3 years from an AD like where I got mine, 5 years if you buy it from Seiko themselves, but you'll be paying top whack if you do that. And it's not the standard of case finishing. Again, look at this thing, it's gorgeous. You've got those lovely Seiko high polished sides, the upper lug surface is brushed, as is that gorgeous bezel with the crisp and clean paint filled Arabics for the GMT hand. And the transition, the line between polish and brush is super sharp, very good even when viewed under a loupe. And I'm not even going to complain about the unsigned crown today. It's a good size, it's grippy enough, but also comfortable when the watch is on wrist. And it isn't about the movement either. The 6R54 GMT in the back of this one is running well, coming in at just over plus 10 seconds per day, and it doesn't look bad either. Seiko have never over decorated their movements, but it looks clean, it's all nicely done, and there's a custom gold rotor. It's certainly not something that should be hidden away because it's too unsightly to look at. Plus, you get a chunky 70-hour plus power reserve, hence the printing of 3 days on the dial. That's pretty good if you are wearing this one as part of a rotation. Now, it isn't a true GMT in inverted commas, it's only a caller's or office GMT. You can see here I'm rotating that inner bezel compass operated by the crown at 4 o'clock and then unscrewing the 3 o'clock crown. Now, when I pull it to the first position, I can hand wind. Second position, I can change the date complication by rolling the crown one way and change the GMT hand position by rolling the crown the other way. I then pull the crown out one further notch, the movement hacks, and I adjust the time. So like I said, a collar GMT, not a true GMT, but that's never bothered me at all. And I have no complaints either about the dial and hands. As discussed and as shown, this thing is gorgeous. Classic alpinist looks. Applied numerals at the 12, 3, 6 and 9, applied rectangular indices everywhere else, and they are applied with some height, hence the shadows they cast on that gorgeous gloss black dial, which is really the star of the show today. Hence also why you can see the reflection of the hands as they pass over the top of that dial. It is a very pleasant effect. And I love the 430 porthole date complication, especially given that the date wheel is colour matched. Now another alpinist classic trait are the cathedral hands, and here they are as usual, today in high polished silver, well proportioned and actually pretty legible. This is an adventure slash field type watch, so you expect a fair degree of legibility, and these hands don't let you down at all. Overall it's busy. There is plenty going on with the numerals, the indices, the separate minute track, the compass bezel and the GMT markings, but considering it's not a huge watch, I think it looks good. I don't think it looks crushed or cluttered at all. No complaints after dark either, thanks to a liberal application of Seiko's Lume Bright. Lume Bright always gets a solid 7 out of 10 in my experience. It is therefore perfectly sufficient for most people and most scenarios. Now this isn't a cheap watch, so you'd expect a decent application of Lume, and I wasn't disappointed by this one. So where then do my problems lie? Well, I haven't given you the dimensions yet, have I? 39mm in diameter is a real sweet spot for me personally. However, the watch is 13.7mm thick. That is a lot. That is dive watch thick, and this is not a dive watch. And normally I would have nothing but praise for a lug-to-lug of 46mm. However, when you combine that with a thickness of 13.7, you begin to start seeing a watch that is proportionally taller than it is long, and therefore has the potential to bobble around a bit on wrist. Lug width is standard 20mm thankfully, water resistance is 200 meters, which is awesome. Crystal is very mildly domed sapphire. The watch would have been even thicker if they had put a box domed on there, for example. And we've already discussed the movement is a 6R54 in-house caliber by Seiko. And then there is the strap. Seiko straps can be a little bit stiff, SARB065 anyone, and this one is giving me flashbacks of that OG cocktail time. It's not quite as shiny or as inflexible, but it isn't the most compliant strap I've ever had, and it's got one of those back to front deployants. Now, the deployant looks good, but I'm never convinced they're quite the right style for this watch. Maybe a simple buckle and tang would have been better here. Now, of course, I can hear what you're saying. I could have changed the strap for something more compliant, but I prefer the collar to match the cuff, if you know what I mean. I don't really like putting aftermarket straps on watches, especially not watches costing this much money. My position is they should have decent straps fitted to them in the first place. So you combine that thickness, the short lug-to-lug and the stiff strap, and you have an on-wrist experience that I just haven't settled with. It's very tall on wrist. It feels a bit too chunky, therefore, for its own good. Seiko have tried. There is a lovely curve and arc to the overall case profile, but it's very much the type of watch that sits on top of your wrist rather than conforming to it. Now, that is my wrist I'm referring to, of course. I haven't tried it on your wrist, and it might wear quite differently on your wrist. Perhaps even a smaller wrist would work better with this one, so long as you're okay with a thickness of just under 14mm, that is. Talking of thickness, what is my standard benchmark? Well, on the right is my current daily, my Citizen Chronomaster. Quartz, I admit, but definitely not slender, coming in at slightly unnecessarily thick 12.7mm. But look at the side profiles of the two watches. The Seiko is all protruding caseback, hence why I'm talking about it sitting on top of the wrist rather than on the wrist. Like I said, this watch looks great. It's nicely made, it's from a great brand, and it's from a model range that dates all the way back to the 1960s. It's got a brand new movement with an excellent power reserve, it's got a GMT complication and that compass bezel complication, though I freely admit I didn't buy this watch to use the compass bezel complication. but it just doesn't work on my wrist. I think it's too thick, it's too chunky. When I buy a sub 40mm watch, I'm buying it to wear well, to hug the wrist, to integrate and to be unobtrusive. And this Alpinist, it doesn't quite manage that. So if you're interested in buying one of these, try it out first. Go into a shop, try it on, make sure that you know what you're buying and you're happy with how it feels on your wrist. It's a lovely watch, but it just didn't work for me. I'm sorry, Seiko, it's not you, it's me. But maybe it's also a little bit you. So there you have it, well done for finishing the video. Don't forget to let me know which watches you haven't gelled with in the past and what you then did about it. This clearly wasn't there for my best Seiko purchase of 2023. Click here or here for two that I've enjoyed more than this one. I'll see you again in the next one.